that really bad. But in terms of restrictions and stuff, it's eased up a little bit. So yeah, it's not too bad.
Okay.
Sorry, I might have to move around a little bit. I thought the lighting was good, but it
No
apparently
problem. We still
isn't.
have time. Take the time to find the right spot for you. I'm just very excited that you managed to make it. I know you're extremely busy, and especially like as an entrepreneur, you don't have much time to just dedicate to those kind of interviews. So thanks a lot. Yeah, take the time to find the right lighting and to find the right position. We really have no problem. But as people are coming, we can maybe tell more about this entrepreneurial journey from Melanin Capital. As we are a financial advisory firm supporting entrepreneurs in Africa getting access to funding, we also wanted to give them a voice and to tell a little bit more about the entrepreneurial journey, what were the challenges, what were the successes, and how they've been maybe helped along the way to be able to achieve the great ventures. And I have to say, Nava, you're very impressive. Such an impressive CEO.
Thank you very much.
You managed to build from scratch a whole Kenyan brand on running shoes. I actually have my shoes right now. Very excited.
I saw that. Yeah. Thanks for getting them. Yeah.
No. Very. I mean, this is a favor I did to my feet, to be very honest. And I'm very excited to share more about your story and about the story of Enda. So please feel free to start and explain more about how you got this idea, what did you do before even starting Enda, and how did you progress until you built this amazing company?
Yeah, so Enda, I think it was just, I think, accumulation of many things coming together. It wasn't necessarily like one big idea. When we first started out, I had tried actually to set up a tennis academy. And so that was after looking and thinking that there aren't that many Africans in the top ATP 100. And so I kept wondering why that was the case. And so when I was studying in London, I came back home and I wanted to come back and start a tennis academy. Long story short, that didn't work. It was a very steep learning lesson. And one of the things I realized was I wanted to still do something in sport. And so I basically got into an accelerator program that was helping entrepreneurs put their ideas together. Different from that was that sometime, I think there was a time, I think I was also like studying abroad and I was extremely homesick. And so one of the things I did come across was this huge mural of the Rift Valley. So the Rift Valley is basically that very great natural phenomenon running from almost the top of Africa down to the bottom. And when I was looking at that picture, it made me realize that there was massive opportunity in terms of making running shoes in Kenya. It's just that we hadn't really tapped into it. But at that particular point, I just thought, why would they be advertising running shoes using Kenyans, but not really, there isn't really anything that's coming from Kenya in terms of making running shoes. And so I think when I was finally looking at the theory of change and trying to say what exactly can we do to make it better, and it just felt as though the answer was right in front of us, that there was this massive opportunity in terms of the country and the talent, and we hadn't really tapped into that. And so the crazy idea came of let's make running shoes. I'm saying crazy because at that particular point, we had a lot of optimism, I would say, less of our feet being grounded on reality. And so we decided to put together a team, look for the money that makes it happen, and eventually start a running shoe company.
That's so inspiring. And I think that's so important when we start a business to not be in line with reality. You have to dream, you have to be optimistic. But at the same time,
absolutely.
I mean, this gym is amazing because, as you said, like Kenyans are really well known for being amazing marathon runners, but there is no shoes that are locally made. So could you please tell us more about your shoes and how how you made this product perfect for runners. I'm asking especially because the co-founder of Melon Capital is a sportsman, a Kenyan sportsman. He's a rugby player, a
I saw
professional,
that.
yeah, rugby player in Germany, and he's really into. Actually, he's the one who told me also about Enda and about all the technology that is also behind it. So, can you please tell us more about your product itself and how you came to design it like that?
Yeah, so the funny thing when we started is we actually thought that there was this one magical running shoe that we would make and it would be amazing. And so when we set out to the runners, we actually asked them, what would be your most ideal or dream running shoe? Like what would that be? And so we had this idea in our mind on having this one shoe with all the perfect qualities. But the funny thing, which is why I think it's always important to speak to the people who you're working with, is we realize that there isn't really any perfect running shoe. There are different types of brands, and so everybody was doing different kinds of brands, different types of shoes for different types of brands. And so from that process, we learned that if you're doing a short run, you probably need a different shoe, a long run, need a different shoe. And so that already took us out of the idea we had where we thought we were making this one perfect running shoe. And so the athletes essentially gave us the feedback we needed to get started. They gave us the feedback that there's different kind of things you need to consider. There's different environments, there's different elements, there are all these kinds of things to consider. And so that really changed our mind from having this one perfect running shoe to having many different running shoes. And so that was the design philosophy that we decided to work with, of how about creating these different types of shoes for the different types of brands. And that was our philosophy. And so when we were developing, we worked a lot with the athletes. Well, I'm not able to show you now, but you can be able to see the development of the shoe from when it was, basically you have like an evolution of the shoe. By the time we were getting to the 9th final product, we'd gone through various iterations, we'd gone through different things. And so the idea was to work with the athletes, get them to test, get them to feel, let us know whether it was too thick, too thin, and stuff like that. But ultimately, our shoes are designed to reward a midfoot strike. So different people run differently. So some people land on their midfoot, others land on the heel. Heel striking is not really good for your health in the long run, because you're essentially creating impact between your heel, and that impact is absorbed by your knees and your hips. And eventually what that happens is, as a runner, you tend to have more injury than if you're landing midfoot. And so one of the things we learned from the athletes was that you want to have a shoe that is maximizing a midfoot run. And that is how we developed and designed the shoes. All our shoes really help people to either enhance or at least to feel that connection to the ground, so that they can start thinking about, basically your feet have that connection to the ground. And that's what we do in terms of creating products that reward a midfoot strike.
That's so inspiring. I think Ian, our co-founder, would have been so excited to go into all those details. It's so inspiring. And I mean, apart from also being such a revolutionary product, like very innovative product, you also have this aspect where you produce locally, if I'm correct, because I guess when you want to produce shoes, there's also the options to produce in Asia, for instance, like most of the big shoe producer that we can see globally. So can you tell us a little bit more how difficult it was for you to maybe have a local production, and if it was maybe at some point you made the choice to being really locally, even if it was maybe more expensive, or how did the trade-off happen basically?
So it's actually past tense. The trade-off is still happening in real time. But one of the things we wanted to make sure was that the production was done locally, because being a Kenyan and being an African, one of the things I'm very aware of is the value addition that happens outside the continent and the cost that it costs us in terms of profits, foreign exchange, and stuff like that. And I think one of the things when you're looking to solve poverty, when you're looking to make things better, you have to ask yourself, why can't we do that? And then secondly, there's the pressure that athletes have. So you have very few athletes who are really top tier. And keep in mind, there's like a whole bunch of athletes who run, but very few will get to that top echelon because the level of competition is very intense. And so what happens is that they have a lot of responsibility, not just to their families, but to their communities. And so the whole dependency system of having one star athlete basically cater for everybody is also not something that was sustainable. And so when we basically decided to set up the company here, we were like, we need to create opportunities for jobs, and not just jobs within the company, but also other supply chains that have come to exist